Luka do it, but not guys like Tatum anymore?
To a degree, yes. And, Key, I feel like for Jayson Tatum, he is prolific offensively from a scoring perspective, right? But he doesn't make other people around him better yet. Not yet. Whereas Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, it seems it's more like a collective of their pieces that makes this team unique in what they are.
See,
he's a pivotal part.
When I look at players and how they can carry their teams, the first thing that I look at always in situations is the playoffs. The playoffs is what make you, and no matter what sport you're in, if it's the Yankees and it's Mr. October, if it's Tom Brady, it's the playoffs. So when you shine in the playoffs, that's who you are. That is who you are. I don't care what the regular season stands for or says. So when I look at a guy like Tatum, he has to take the next step in the playoffs. If he can dominate in the playoffs, then I certainly will believe that he can carry a team to a championship. That's just the way it has always been with championship caliber players.
Now more than ever, Key, to piggyback that point, now more than ever in the NBA in particular, when you add in the play-in tournament, when the season's over, regular season's over, 10 out of 15 teams are still playing in the postseason. If you are a great player, that's when you're going to have to show up. Tatum, to me, Jay, looks like a guy who can be the best scorer on a championship team. So not that you can necessarily, it's not about running your offense through him, but he can be the lead scorer on a championship team. I feel confident saying that now. I think he can do that.
What's the separation between Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown?
Not enough,
really
maybe.
Close.
Maybe that's one of the problems. They're too tightly packed.
And you see both of them, and then it's almost, it's not similar
but see, I
to
feel
Golden
like
State in
it's
this way.
Tatum team, no.
Is it? Clearly?
I feel like it is.
No, it's Marcus Smart's team. It's Marcus Smart's team.
Yeah, like the way it's Draymond's team.
Well, I mean, I still feel like that's Steph's team because Steph is absolutely prolific. Draymond is the motor, but it feels like this is Marcus Smart is the guy that's telling people where to go, what to do.
Isn't that Dre?
Yeah, but that's but when I turn, I guess
but
for
Steph
me,
is upper echelon.
I guess for me though, Jay, when I turn on the TV, I'm not turning on to see Marcus Smart. I'm turning it on because of Tatum. I'm going to the game because of Tatum. I'm going because of Jaylen Brown. That's why I'm going and buying those expensive ass tickets. And so to me, it just feels like that's his team.
You know, I think it's an interesting theme, basically. When you look at great duos, right? Usually one dude is a clear cut above the other. Jordan and Pippen. Pippen's all-time great. Jordan's clearly the guy, right? When you have two guys that are neck and neck, you have conflict. Now, Kobe and Shaq were so great. They won 3 championships anyway. They should have won more, right? But sometimes when it's too close between the two top guys, whose team is it? Remember when LeBron first got to Miami, he was too deferential to Wade, right? And then they were much more of a powerhouse once LeBron took the lead. I wonder if, since you brought it up, Jay, Tatum is the best player on the team in my view.
Yep.
Jaylen Brown is so close, though, that maybe there's an identity issue there, and that's why a guy like Marcus Smart has to step forward as a leader.
Well, we go back to being a prolific scorer, and JT can do that. It's interesting. Their system, when we compare it to Golden State runs more of a continuity system where everybody gets involved, where it feels like Boston at times is way more isolated, even though they haven't been isolation basketball a lot. But, Marcus Smart still drives so much of the engine there. And I think that's what – even when we had the sound of Jayson Tatum the other day about whose team is this? And he's like, well, it's kind of like mine, but it's all of ours. Whereas when you wonder about Luka or LeBron or Giannis or Joel Embiid, it's
an interesting point.
My team.
Key, it's an interesting point to me that the way the ISO game has changed, or the way the league has moved away from ISO, you had a guy like Michael Jordan, it's his league. Kobe Bryant, same sort of thing. And it used to be the two-way ISO scoring wing was the best thing you could have, right? Went from center to that to now it feels like the best thing you can have is the point forward who is part Magic, part Michael, right? Like LeBron. That's the prototype. Guys like Luka can be a version of it. James Harden at his best, but then that gets into too much, ISO type stuff. And that's not Tatum.
No,
Tatum is much more like a Carmelo type, right?
No, I don't think so though. I just, he said the other day, I don't know when it was, a week or so ago, that he talked about who team it was, Jay. And then he said it's my team, but then he said, well, I guess it's kind of all of us, because he didn't want to offend any of his teammates by becoming, this is my team. That just wasn't his kind of personality. Mm-hmm. I think when you look at his ability on the floor, you certainly have seen him go for the 50. You've seen him dominate to a point where he had a stretch run there for a minute where everybody was sitting there going, well, why aren't we talking about him in the MVP conversation? We've never had that conversation about Marcus Smart. We never had that conversation about Brown, but we had that conversation about Tatum.
But maybe, like what you said, the style of play, Key, like Jay, KD to me is the best player in the world when he's on the floor.
Yes.
He's number one. And the next level that he hit to me is when he started becoming a really good passer. The 7 feet, the wingspan, he could just always find the passing lane. When he started doing that, and it's like an underrated, untalked about part of his game largely, that's when he hit next level for me. It's like, oh my God, you can't do anything with this guy, right? So is Tatum tier 1 or tier 2 superstar?
He's tier 2 to me right now. But like that's why I compared him to Dak Prescott. Every time we have a conversation about Dak Prescott, we get into a debate about whether he's tier 1 or tier 2. And we came to the conclusion as a show that he's tier 2, but he's at the top of tier 2,
That's
waiting
Tatum.
to burst into tier 1. And that's where I see Jayson Tatum. But it has to happen, Key, in the postseason.
We have much more on this morning's breaking NFL news. Bruce Arians' retirement, plus coming up, another one of Tom Brady's former coaches is facing the pressure after Jay has this from Cintas.
When it comes to winning, dedication can make all the difference. And that's the difference you get with Cintas. Your Cintas dedicated service reps will help you with products and services to help your business run smoothly. From essential cleaning products to hygienically cleaned apparel, fire protection services to first aid and safety supplies. That's the kind of personal attention you get from just a delivery service. So get Cintas and get ready for the workday.
Bucks have a new head coach. Bruce Arians announcing Wednesday.